The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched for miles in every direction. Hundreds of alien species filled the floating seats that moved like living things around the massive space. At the center, a bright blue light showed pictures that everyone could see clearly. Admiral Zexathyra stood 12 feet tall. Her purple skin had lines that glowed when she talked. She was from the Vorthan Empire, one of the oldest and strongest groups in the galaxy. Today she was talking about the newest members of the galactic community. The humans. "Look at these ships," Zexathyra said. Her voice was deep and made the whole hall shake a little. "These creatures from the planet they call Earth think these metal boxes can fight in space wars." The blue light showed pictures of human warships. They looked like gray metal rectangles with many holes in them. Long tubes stuck out from different parts of each ship. Some tubes were thick, others were thin. They all pointed in different directions, like the spines on some ancient beast. A creature that looked like a giant insect clicked its mouth parts together. This was Ambassador Clix from the Arthropod Collective. "What are those tubes supposed to do?" Clix asked. "They shoot metal pieces," Zexathyra answered. The purple lines on her skin got brighter. "Metal pieces? Can you believe it? They use chemical explosions to push lumps of metal through space." Laughter filled the great hall. It sounded like music, clicking, roaring, and humming, all mixed together. Every species had their own way of showing they thought something was funny. A floating ball of gas that sparkled with tiny lights spoke next. This was Representative Nuru from the Energy Collective. When Nuru talked, the voice came from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Do they not know about plasma weapons? Have they never heard of energy shields?" "That is the best part," Zexathyra said. She made a gesture with her long arm. The pictures changed to show human soldiers in thick armor. "Look at their personal protection. Metal plates. They still use metal plates to stop enemy fire. Every civilized species stopped using solid armor 1,000 years ago." More laughter echoed through the hall. Captain Sarah Chen sat in the observation area. She was the only human in the whole building. Her dark hair was cut short and her brown eyes stayed calm even as hundreds of aliens laughed at her people. She wore the blue and silver uniform of the United Earth Space Navy. The uniform looked very plain next to all the strange clothes and body types around her. Sarah had fought in 3 wars on Earth. She had seen what human weapons could do to enemy ships and enemy soldiers. But she said nothing. She just listened and watched. "These humans," continued a creature that looked like a tree with too many arms, "they do not even have proper energy shields on their ships. They use more metal plates, thick ones." "How do they expect to fight with such old technology?" asked another alien. This one looked like a crystal that could somehow talk. "My people had better weapons when we first reached space 5,000 years ago." Zexathyra raised one arm to get everyone quiet. "That brings us to the real question. What do we do with these humans? They want to join our military alliance. They say they can help protect trade routes and fight pirates. With those museum pieces?" The insect creature clicked faster now. "A single pirate ship with modern weapons could destroy 10 of their vessels." "Maybe we should give them a chance," said a new voice. This came from Ambassador Trell of the Peaceful Diplomatic Corps. Trell looked almost human except for blue skin and 3 eyes. "Every species deserves to prove themselves." "Fine," Zexathyra said. Her voice had a tone that meant she thought this was a bad idea. "But we cannot let them guard important trade routes. They might get destroyed and make us look bad for letting them try." The great hall fell quiet, as everyone thought about this. Sarah Chen felt her hands make fists, but she kept them hidden under the table in front of her. "I have an idea," said the crystal creature. "There is a mining system in the Outer Rim. Sector 7745. 3 planets with mining stations. The system makes very little money and is not important to anyone." "Perfect," Zexthyra said. "If pirates attack there, we do not lose anything important. If the humans get destroyed, we can say, we gave them a chance." "What about the miners working there?" asked Trell. "They are mostly criminals working off debts," the crystal being answered. "No one important will care if something happens to them." Sarah felt sick when she heard this. These aliens were ready to let human miners die just to test human weapons. But she still said nothing. She had orders to observe and report back to Earth Command. "Very well," Zexthyra announced. "The humans will be given the job of protecting Mining System 7745. They can send 3 ships, no more. If they succeed, we will consider giving them better assignments." "And if they fail?" asked the insect creature. "Then we will know that humans are not ready for real military work," Zexthyra said. "They can go back to their little planet and play with their metal toys." The vote was quick. Every species voted yes except for Trell's people, who said they would not vote either way. The peaceful diplomatic corps never voted on military matters. Sarah Chen stood up slowly. All eyes in the Great Hall turned to look at her. Some aliens had dozens of eyes. Others had sensors that could see things human eyes could not. She felt very small and very alone. "Captain Chen," Zexthyra said, "do you accept this assignment for your people?" "Yes," Sarah said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried clearly through the hall. "Earth accepts?" "Wonderful," Zexthyra said, but her tone made it clear she thought the humans would fail quickly. "You have 1 week to get your ships to the mining system. Try not to embarrass yourselves too badly." More laughter filled the hall as Sarah walked out. She kept her back straight and her steps steady. She would not give these aliens the pleasure of seeing her angry or scared. As she left the great hall, Sarah heard one last comment from the crystal creature. "I give them 2 days before they run away crying." "You are being too generous," replied the insect ambassador. "I say they will surrender before the first shot is fired." Sarah walked faster. She had calls to make and ships to prepare. The aliens thought human weapons were jokes. They thought human armor was useless. They thought human ships were metal coffins waiting to be opened. Maybe they were right. Maybe human technology really was too old to fight modern space pirates. But Sarah had a feeling the galaxy was about to learn something new about the species from Earth. Something hot. Captain Vector laughed so hard that the other pirates on his ship turned to stare at him. He was reading the galactic news reports on his personal screen. The story about humans being assigned to guard Mining System 7745 was the funniest thing he had read in years. Vector was a Kethmar, which meant he looked like a cross between a shark and a lizard that walked on 2 legs. His skin was dark green with scars from many battles. His teeth were sharp and yellow. When he smiled, which he was doing now, he looked like something from a nightmare. "Listen to this," Vector said to his crew. "The Galactic Council gave the humans 3 metal boxes and told them to guard a mining system. The same humans who still shoot chunks of metal at their enemies." His first officer, a female Kethmar named Sixra, walked over to look at the screen. "Are you thinking what I think you are thinking, Captain? I am thinking that mining system 7745 just became very interesting, Vectar said. His eyes glowed red when he was excited. When was the last time we had easy prey? The bridge of Vectar's ship was dark and filled with the sound of machines working. 12 other pirate ships followed his vessel through space. Each ship was painted black with red marks that showed they belonged to the Kethmar Corsairs. They were some of the most feared pirates in this part of the galaxy. Vectar's ship was called the Blood Drinker. It was 300 feet long and covered with weapons that could shoot beams of pure energy. Like all modern ships, it had energy shields that could stop almost any attack. The shields made a thin blue glow around the ship when they were turned on. "Tell me about their weapons again," Vectar said to his science officer. The science officer was a thin creature with 4 arms and big eyes. His name was Zixoth. "Captain, human weapons are very primitive. They use chemical explosions to shoot metal objects. Some of these objects move fast, but they are still just pieces of metal." "And our shields can stop metal objects?" "Easily. Captain, our shields can absorb energy from plasma cannons and laser beams. A few chunks of metal will not even make them flicker." Vectar stood up from his captain's chair. He was 8 feet tall, and his claws clicked on the metal floor when he walked. "How many humans will be guarding the mining system?" "Reports say 3 ships, Captain. Each ship has maybe 50 humans on it." 3 ships against 13, Vectar said. "And our weapons are 1,000 years more advanced than theirs. This will be easier than taking candy from a baby." Sixra pulled up a map of mining system 7745 on the main screen. "Captain, look at this. The system has 3 planets. Each planet has mining stations on the surface. The miners dig up rare metals and load them onto cargo ships. How much are the metals worth?" Vectar asked. "Not much, Captain. But there are thousands of miners down there. We can take them as slaves and sell them in the outer rim markets." Vectar's smile got bigger. "Even better. We get easy practice against human weapons, and we make money too." The news about the human assignment had spread quickly through the criminal networks. Pirates, smugglers, and slavers all over the galaxy were talking about it. Most of them thought it was funny. Some of them, like Vectar, saw it as an opportunity. "Captain," said the communications officer, "I'm getting messages from other pirate groups. They want to know if we are going to attack the mining system." "Tell them we got there first," Vectar growled. "This is Kethmar business now." The Blood Drinker and its escort ships changed course toward mining system 7745. It would take them 3 days to get there. Vectar spent those 3 days planning the attack and reading everything he could find about human military technology. What he read made him laugh even more. Human ships were slow. Human weapons had short range. Human armor was thick but could not stop energy beams. Humans did not even have artificial gravity on their ships. They had to spin parts of their ships to make fake gravity. "They are like cave people who somehow learned to fly," Vectar told his crew. "This will be the easiest raid we have ever done." On the second day of travel, Zixoth brought Vectar more information. "Captain, I have been studying human battle tactics. They like to get close to their enemies and shoot many bullets very fast." "How close?" "Very close, Captain. Sometimes less than a mile apart." Vectar laughed again. "Our weapons can hit targets from 100 miles away. We can destroy their ships before they get close enough to scratch our paint." On the 3rd day, the pirate fleet arrived at the edge of mining system 7745. Vectar looked at the main screen and saw exactly what he expected. 3 human ships moved slowly around the mining planets. The ships looked just like the pictures he had seen, gray metal boxes with tubes sticking out of them. "They look even more pathetic in person," Sixra said. "Captain, the communications officer said, we are receiving a message from the human ships." "Put it on the main screen," Vectar ordered. "I want to see what these primitives have to say." The screen showed a human female with short, dark hair. She wore a blue and silver uniform and sat in what looked like a very plain command bridge. Behind her, Vectar could see other humans working at simple control panels. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Navy," the human said. "You are entering protected space. Identify yourselves and state your business." Vectar stood up so the human could see his full height. "I am Captain Vectar of the Kethmar Corsairs. We are here to take everything valuable in this system. That includes your ships, your cargo, and your people." The human captain's face did not change. "I suggest you turn around and leave. You are outnumbered and outgunned." Vectar looked around his bridge. All of his crew were trying not to laugh. "Outgunned? Human? You have 3 metal crates with primitive weapons. I have 13 advanced warships with energy shields and plasma. Cannons. You cannot be serious." "Very serious," Captain Chen said. "This is your last warning." "My last warning?" Vectar roared with laughter. "Human, when this battle is over, I am going to keep you as a pet. You will clean my ship and tell me stories about your backwards planet." The human captain was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that confused Vectar. "I tried to warn you. Remember that." The communication ended. Vectar stared at the blank screen for a few seconds. Then he turned to his weapons officer. Are our shields at full power?" "Yes, Captain. All ships report shields at maximum strength." "Good. All ships move into attack formation. Let us show these humans what real weapons can do." The 13 pirate ships spread out into a line. Their energy shields began to glow brighter as they prepared for battle. Each ship charged its plasma cannons and aimed them at the human vessels. Vectar sat back in his captain's chair and smiled. This was going to be fun. The humans had no idea what they were about to face. Their primitive metal weapons would bounce off his shields like raindrops off a window. "All ships," Vectar announced over the communication system, "prepare to fire. Target their engines first. I want to disable them, not destroy them. Dead slaves are worth nothing." The pirate fleet moved forward. In a few minutes, the galaxy would see what happened when modern technology faced primitive human weapons. Vectar was sure the result would be discussed in pirate bars for years to come. He had no idea how right he was. Captain Sarah Chen watched the pirate ships move into attack formation on her main screen. Behind her, the bridge crew of the UES Defiance worked at their stations. The ship was quiet except for the soft hum of machinery and the occasional beep from a control panel. "Captain," said Lieutenant Torres, the weapons officer, "all ships are ready to fire. We have full loads in all gun tubes." "Thank you, Lieutenant," Sarah said. She looked at the 13 enemy ships moving toward them. Each one was bigger than her destroyers. Each one had weapons that could punch holes through asteroids. "Communications. Open a channel to Wolverine and Thunderbolt." The other 2 human ships appeared on smaller screens beside the main display. Captain Rodriguez commanded the Wolverine, and Captain Kim commanded the Thunderbolt. Both ships were the same class as the Defiance, gray metal destroyers built for war. "Gentlemen," Sarah said, "you know the plan. First volley with standard rounds. Let them see what we can do before we get serious." "Understood," Captain Rodriguez said. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. "My crew is ready. Same here, Captain Kim added. She was young for a ship captain, but Sarah had read her service record. Kim had fought pirates before. Should we spread out? Negative, Sarah said. Stay close. We want them to think we are scared. The pirate ships were getting closer. Sarah could see the blue glow of their energy shields getting brighter. In a few minutes, they would be close, enough to start shooting. Captain, the sensor officer called out. The enemy ships are charging their weapons. I count over 200 plasma cannons aimed at us. Let them come, Sarah said. She turned to her weapons officer. Lieutenant Torres, load standard kinetic. Rounds in all tubes. Set them for maximum velocity. Aye, Captain. Standard rounds loaded. Rail guns charging. Sarah felt the ship vibrate slightly as the railguns powered up. The Defiance had 12 railgun tubes along its sides. Each tube could fire a tungsten slug the size of a telephone pole at tremendous speed. When those slugs hit something, they hit very hard. The pirate ships opened fire first. Bright beams of red and orange energy shot across space toward the human vessels. The plasma bolts moved fast, but Sarah's ships were ready. They twisted and turned, avoiding most of the enemy fire. A few plasma bolts hit the Defiance. The beams struck the thick armor plates on the ship's hull. The metal glowed red-hot where the energy hit. But the armor held. Human ships were built to take damage and keep fighting. Return fire, Sarah ordered. The 3 human destroyers fired at the same time. 36 tungsten slugs shot out of the railguns at incredible speed. The slugs were dark and hard to see against the black of space. They made no sound and left no trail of light. They were almost invisible until they hit their targets. The first volley struck the lead pirate ships with tremendous force. The energy shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the impact. But something strange happened that the pirates did not expect. Instead of stopping the metal slugs, the shields absorbed their kinetic energy and converted it to heat and electromagnetic force. But tungsten slugs, moving at near light speed, had a lot of kinetic energy. More than the shield generators were designed to handle all at once. The lead pirate ship, Blood Drinker, shook like it had been hit by a giant hammer. Captain Vector was thrown from his chair and rolled across the floor of his bridge. Warning lights flashed red and alarms started screaming. "Report!" Vector roared as he got back to his feet. "Shields are down to 60%, the science officer said. His 4 arms moved quickly over his control panel. The kinetic impact overloaded 3 shield generators. What? Vector could not believe what he was hearing. Those were just chunks of metal. Very fast chunks of metal, Captain. The force of impact was much higher than we calculated. On the other pirate ships, similar reports came in. Shields were damaged but holding. The ships themselves were not hurt, but the surprise was complete. None of them had expected human weapons to hit so hard. Captain, Sixra said, maybe we should pull back and rethink this attack. No, Vector snarled. They got lucky with that first shot. Our shields are still working. Fire again. All ships. Concentrate fire on the lead human vessel. More plasma bolts shot toward the Defiance. This time, some of them found their target. The energy beams hit the ship's armor and made it glow like hot coals. But the armor was thick and strong. It absorbed the heat and spread it out so no single spot got too hot. Sarah watched her ship take the hits without serious damage. "Damage report," she called out. "Hull armor is holding." "The damage," Control Officer reported. "Some surface burns, but all systems are operational." "Good," Sarah said. She turned to look at the pirate ships on her screen. Their shields were flickering where her tungsten slugs had hit them. That was exactly what she had hoped to see. Communications. Open a channel to the lead pirate ship. Vectar's angry face appeared on the screen. Behind him, Sarah could see smoke and flashing warning lights. "Having some problems with your shields?" Sarah asked. "You got lucky," Vectar growled. "But your primitive weapons cannot break through our defenses. Surrender now, and I might let some of your crew live." "I have a better idea," Sarah said. "How about you surrender? Your shields are already damaged, and we have not even started shooting our good ammunition yet." "Your good ammunition?" Vectar laughed, but he sounded less confident than before. "What could be better than chunks of metal?" Sarah smiled. It was not a nice smile. "You are about to find out. All ships load thermite rounds. Let us show our new friends what real heat looks like." The communication ended. Vectar stared at the blank screen with growing worry. What did the human mean by thermite rounds? "Science officer," Vectar said. "What is thermite?" Zixoth's big eyes got even bigger as he looked up the information. "Captain, thermite is a chemical mixture that burns very hot. Very, very hot. Humans use it to cut through metal." "Can our shields stop it?" "I do not know, Captain. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons. Thermite is a chemical reaction. It might behave differently." Vectar felt a cold feeling in his stomach. For the first time since the battle started, he was not sure his ships would win easily. On the Defiance, Lieutenant Torres finished loading the new ammunition. "Captain, all ships report thermite rounds loaded and ready to fire." "Fire when ready," Sarah said. The human ships fired their second volley. This time, the tungsten slugs had special tips filled with thermite compound. When the slugs hit the pirate shields, something new happened. The thermite ignited on contact with the energy barriers. Instead of just absorbing kinetic force, the shields now had to deal with chemical fire burning at over 4,000 degrees. The thermite stuck to the shield energy like burning glue and would not go out. Vectar watched in horror as his shields began to fail. The burning thermite created hot spots that overloaded the shield generators. One by one, sections of his defensive barrier flickered and died. "Shield generators are overheating," the science officer reported. "The chemical fire is too hot. We cannot absorb this much heat energy." "Emergency power to shields," Vectar ordered. "It is not working, Captain. The thermite keeps burning. It will not stop." Sarah watched the pirate shields fail with satisfaction. This was what human weapons were really designed to do. Not just hit hard, but hit hot. The galaxy had forgotten that there were many ways to destroy an enemy ship. "All ships," Sarah announced. "Enemy shields are failing. Prepare for the next phase of our attack." The pirates were about to learn that human creativity in warfare went far beyond simple metal slugs. They were about to discover what happened when a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of making things burn decided to take their talents to space. Captain Vectar watched his shield displays with growing panic. Red warning symbols flashed across every screen on his bridge. The thermite fire was spreading along his energy barriers like some kind of space plague. Where the chemical flames touched the shields, the protective barriers simply died. "Science officer," Vectar roared. "Why will the fire not go out?" Zixoth's forearms moved frantically over his controls. "Captain, thermite does not need oxygen to burn. It makes its own oxygen as it burns. Our shields cannot smother it. Then dump power from our engines. Route everything to the shield generators." "I already tried that, Captain. The generators are overheating faster than we can cool them." On the main screen, Vectar could see his other ships having the same problems. Burning patches of thermite clung to their shields like hungry monsters eating their defenses. The pirates had never seen anything like this in hundreds of battles. Captain Sarah Chen watched the enemy ships struggle with their failing shields. She turned to her weapons officer with a cold smile. "Lieutenant Torres, I think our guests need to see more of what human engineering can accomplish. Load the special package." "The special package, Captain?" Torres asked. His eyes lit up with excitement. "All tubes?" "All tubes. And signal the other ships to do the same." Torres turned to his control panel and began typing commands. Loading white phosphorus thermite rounds, depleted uranium penetrators, and high-explosive incendiary shells. "This is going to be beautiful, Captain." Sarah had spent years developing these weapons with Earth's best military scientists. While the galaxy played with energy beams and plasma bolts, humans had perfected the ancient art of making things burn, explode, and punch holes through armor. "Captain," the communications officer said, "we are receiving surrender signals from 3 pirate ships." "Tell them surrender is not accepted," Sarah said. "They came here to take our people as slaves. Now they get to see what happens to slavers." The first pirate ship lost its shields completely. The Blood Drinker was now naked in space, with only its hull armor to protect it. But Vector did not know that human rounds were designed to punch through much thicker armor than his ships carried. "All ships open fire," Sarah commanded. "Show them what Earth's children learned in 10,000 years of warfare." The human destroyers fired their third volley. This time the rounds were different. Some were tungsten penetrators with depleted uranium cores designed to punch through the thickest armor ever made. Others were filled with white phosphorus that burned even hotter than thermite. Still others contained high explosives that would detonate inside enemy ships. The first rounds hit the Blood Drinker's hull with tremendous force. The depleted uranium penetrators went through the alien armor like knives through paper. Behind them came the incendiary rounds that spread burning chemicals throughout the ship's interior. Vector felt his ship shake as the human weapons tore it apart from the inside. Explosions echoed through the corridors. Emergency lights flashed as power systems failed. The air began to smell like smoke and burning metal. "Damage report!" Vector screamed over the sound of alarms. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7, someone shouted back. "Fire in the engine room! Fire in the weapons bay! Fire everywhere!" "Use the emergency foam." "The foam will not work, Captain. The chemicals keep burning even underwater." Vector ran to a window and looked outside. He could see glowing holes in his ship's hull where the human rounds had punched through. Strange fires burned inside those holes, fires that seemed to feed on the metal itself. The other pirate ships were suffering the same fate. Human weapons designed for destroying bunkers and tanks were proving very effective against spaceships. The aliens had never faced an enemy that specialized in making things burn. Captain Kim's ship, the Thunderbolt, fired a spread of cluster rounds at a pirate vessel that was trying to run away. Each round split apart in space and released dozens of smaller projectiles. The smaller rounds hit the fleeing ship like a shotgun blast, tearing holes in its engines and setting its fuel tanks on fire. Captain Rodriguez's ship, the Wolverine, was hunting a pirate ship that thought it could hide behind one of the mining platforms. Rodriguez fired guided rounds that could change direction in flight. The rounds flew around the platform and hit the hiding pirate ship in its weakest spot. "Captain Chen," Lieutenant Torres reported, "enemy ship number 7 is breaking apart. Ship number 3 has lost main power. Ship number 11 is venting atmosphere." Sarah nodded. "Continue firing. Target their weapons and engines." I want them alive to tell others what happened here. The battle was becoming a demonstration of human military engineering. Every round fired had been designed for a specific purpose. Armor-piercing rounds punched through hulls. Incendiary rounds started fires that could not be put out. Explosive rounds turned spaceship corridors into scenes from hell. Vector tried to return fire, but his weapons were not working properly. The human rounds had damaged his power systems and targeting computers. When his plasma cannons did fire, the beams were weak and poorly aimed. "Captain," Sixra said, "we have to retreat. Our ship is dying." "We cannot retreat," Vector snarled. "We are Kethmar Corsairs. We do not run from primitive humans." "These humans are not primitive," Sixra shot back. "Look around you. Their weapons are tearing us apart." As if to prove her point, another human round punched through the bridge window. The projectile missed Vector by inches and embedded itself in the wall behind him. A moment later, it exploded and filled the bridge with burning fragments. Vector looked at his crew. Half of them were injured. Smoke filled the air. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. His mighty warship was being destroyed by 3 human vessels that the Galactic Council had called obsolete. "All ships," Vector said into his communicator. "Retreat. Full speed. Get us out of here." But it was too late for some of his ships. 3 pirate vessels were already dead in space there. Hulls cracked open like eggs. 2 more were spinning out of control, their crews probably all dead. The remaining ships tried to run, but human rounds chased them through space. Captain Sarah Chen watched the pirates flee with satisfaction. Her weapons had worked exactly as designed. Human military technology was not primitive. It was specialized. While other species focused on energy weapons and fancy shields, humans had spent thousands of years learning how to make things burn, explode, and break. "Should we pursue them, Captain?" Torres asked. "No," Sarah said. "Let them go. Let them tell the galaxy what they saw here today." The battle was over in less than an hour. 8 pirate ships had been destroyed or disabled. The remaining 5 were running away as fast as they could go. Not a single human ship had been seriously damaged. "Captain," the communications officer said, "we are receiving messages from the mining platforms. They want to thank us." "Tell them they are welcome," Sarah said, "and tell them they can go back to work. The pirates will not be coming back anytime soon." Sarah looked at the burning wreckage of the pirate ships floating in space. Each piece of debris was a message to the galaxy. A message that said humans might use old technology, but they used it very, very well. The galaxy was about to learn that there was more than one way to fight a war among the stars. And humans had been perfecting their way for a very long time. The news traveled faster than any spaceship could fly. Within hours of the battle at Mining System 7745, every major government, military organization, and news service in the galaxy had received the same impossible report. The humans had won. Admiral Zexathyra sat in her private office on the Vorthan home world, staring at her computer screen in complete silence. She had read the battle report 17 times, but the words still did not make sense to her. "Impossible," she said to the empty room. "Absolutely impossible." Her aide, a younger Vorthan named Kextol, knocked on her door. "Admiral, the Galactic Council is calling an emergency session. They want you to present the battle analysis." "What analysis?" Zexathyra asked. "I do not understand what happened, any more than they do." She called up the video files that had been recorded by the mining station sensors. The footage showed 13 advanced pirate ships attacking 3 primitive human vessels. It should have been a massacre. Instead, she watched human weapons tear through energy shields like they were made of paper. How? Zexathyra asked the screen. How did metal projectiles defeat modern shields? The video showed thermite rounds sticking to energy barriers and burning them away. It showed tungsten slugs punching through armor that should have stopped them. It showed fires that burned in the vacuum of space without any oxygen to feed them. Captain Vectar's ship, the Blood Drinker, had been completely destroyed. Only 5 of his 13 vessels had escaped the battle, and all of them were badly damaged. The human ships had suffered minor hull burns and nothing more. Zexathyra's computer chimed with an incoming message. It was from Captain Sarah Chen herself. Admiral Zexathyra, the human said in the recorded message, I wanted to personally report that mining system 7745 is secure. The Kethmar Corsairs have been defeated. We are ready for our next assignment. The message was polite and professional, but Zexathyra could see something in the human's eyes that made her feel cold inside. Captain Chen was not asking for a new assignment. She was telling the galaxy that humans were ready for bigger challenges. Across the galaxy, other military leaders were having similar reactions. On the crystal world of Nexus Prime, General Quartzdor was studying the same footage with his staff of experts. Explain to me how this happened, the crystal being demanded. Sir, one of his advisors said, it appears that human weapons operate on different principles than ours. Instead of using pure energy, they combine kinetic force with chemical reactions. Chemical reactions? You mean they are using chemistry as a weapon? Yes, sir. Their thermite rounds create chemical fires that our shields cannot absorb or deflect. The fires burn hot enough to overload shield generators. General Quartzdor made a sound like breaking glass, which was how his species expressed surprise. And their kinetic weapons? Much more powerful than we calculated, sir. They fire projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The kinetic energy is enormous. Why did our intelligence reports not mention this? Sir, we assumed that kinetic weapons were primitive and weak. We never tested our shields against high-velocity projectiles carrying chemical payloads. In the Arthropod Collective, Ambassador Clix was having an emergency meeting with his military commanders. The insect leaders clicked and hummed in their strange language as they tried to understand what had happened. The humans use fire as a weapon, one commander said. Fire that cannot be put out. How is this possible? Clix asked. Their projectiles carry materials that burn without oxygen. They create their own combustion reactions. Our ships are not designed to handle chemical fires. What about their armor? How did it stop our plasma weapons? Human armor is much thicker than we thought. It is designed to absorb and distribute heat energy. Our plasma bolts spread out across the surface instead of penetrating. Clix felt sick. His species had laughed at human armor, calling it primitive and heavy. Now he realized that the humans had built their ships to fight exactly the kind of battle that had just occurred. On the peaceful diplomatic corps homeworld, Ambassador Trell was not surprised by the news. Her species had studied humans more carefully than most others. I tried to warn them, Trell said to her assistant. Humans are not primitive. They are specialists. What do you mean, Ambassador? Every species in the galaxy developed similar technologies because we all learned from each other. Energy weapons, energy shields, artificial gravity. We all build the same kinds of ships and fight the same kinds of battles. And humans? Humans developed their technology in isolation. They never learned our methods, so they perfected their own methods. Their way of fighting is completely different from ours. Is their way better? Trell looked at the battle footage again. Human rounds burning through energy shields with chemical fire. Human armor shrugging off plasma bolts like raindrops. For this kind of fight, yes, their way is much better. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any meeting in the organization's history. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to discuss a single question. What do we do about the humans? Admiral Zex Thyra stood at the center of the Great Hall, presenting her analysis to the assembled aliens. Behind her, the giant display screen showed footage of the battle. The human victory was complete, Zexathyra reported. 8 pirate ships destroyed, 5 damaged and fleeing, 0 human casualties. The entire battle lasted less than 1 hour. How is this possible? Asked the Crystal representative. Our intelligence said human weapons were obsolete. Our intelligence was wrong, Zexathyra admitted. Human weapons are not obsolete. They are optimized for a different kind of warfare than we understand. Explain, demanded the insect ambassador. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other on their home planet. They perfected the art of using chemistry, physics, and engineering to destroy their enemies. When they built spaceships, they applied the same principles. And we missed this because we assumed that advanced technology always follows the same path, energy weapons and energy shields. But humans proved that there are other ways to fight. The Great Hall fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Finally, Ambassador Trell spoke up. What are your recommendations, Admiral? Zexathyra took a deep breath. This was going to be hard to say. I recommend that we immediately upgrade human military assignments. They should be given first-tier protection contracts and full alliance membership. You want to reward them for using primitive weapons? I want to make sure they are fighting for us and not against us, Zexathyra said. Because if we ever have to fight humans in a real war, we will lose. The vote was unanimous. Every species in the Council voted to upgrade humanity's status immediately. They also voted to study human military technology and see if they could adapt it for their own use. Captain Sarah Chen received the news while her ships were still patrolling mining system 7745. The Galactic Military Command had sent her a priority message offering humanity several high-value protection contracts. Captain, Lieutenant Torres said, they are offering us guard duty for the Antares trade route. That is one of the most important shipping lanes in the galaxy. They are also offering us membership in the Galactic Defense Force, added the communications officer. Full membership, not probationary status. Sarah smiled as she read the messages. The tone was very different from the communications she had received before the battle. These messages were polite, respectful, even grateful. What should we tell them, Captain? Torres asked. Tell them we accept all offers, Sarah said. And tell them we have more ships back on Earth if they need additional protection services. More ships, Captain? Much more, Lieutenant. Earth has been building warships for 50 years. We have a whole fleet waiting for assignments. Sarah looked out at the stars through her bridge window. The galaxy had learned an important lesson about human capabilities. But it was only the beginning. Humans had many more surprises to share with their new alien friends. The age of human warfare among the stars had just begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again.